Interesting.
Yeah.
We've received some pretty ridiculous ones, and we've gone back to the manager and we're like, listen, we're not giving your DJ new van shoes.
I need new shoes to DJ.
I read the rider. It's like new white van shoes, and we're like, listen, that's not happening.
We don't have the. Yeah.
Yeah, but we also got those lasers.
If we hadn't got the lasers,
Well, those lasers
wouldn't have
more,
looked as
but
good.
We're gonna include those lasers. I remember going to you. I'm like, yo, those lasers. He's like, yeah, that's probably been the best investment we've made on this.
it was worth it. It was definitely worth it.
Yeah.
It looked really good.
Yeah,
It's cool.
for sure. So I guess we touched upon a little bit of the points, but what are some things people don't know about hosting and booking events? Like, I guess the top thing that kind of.
The cost that goes into it.
I think people just don't understand how much the actual overhead is for a lot of the events.
Like the poll, right? Like,
Yeah.
bring this artist. Why aren't we bringing
Right.
this artist, right? It's just
Yeah.
like, well, it's
not that simple.
I think if we shared some of our spreadsheets with people, they'd probably be like, oh, okay, that's why so-and-so hasn't been here in a long time.
Welcome back to the Back and Body Hurts podcast, where we talk about all things EDM related. Thanks for tuning in today. We are excited to welcome Chris and John, two of the co-founders of Sleepless Event and DJ duo, Deimos and Phobos. Am I saying it right?
Yeah.
Deimos and Phobos. So for those of you guys who don't know, Chris and John have deep roots in our scene. They've been around for a while. They've been around the block. Over the past few years, they've been instrumental with organizing some memorable shows that some of you may have attended. So running Sleepless Events. They also have their DJ project, which is more techno.
Definitely.
And they recently did they opened right before Holy Priest, and we were talking about this previously before we aired it, but my God, guys, that set was probably the best I've ever seen you guys play.
We felt really good.
Yeah. And
Definitely our favorite set.
that crowd.
The energy in the crowd
Yeah,
was
like,
absolutely nuts. That
I
day.
said in our YouTube video, we'll include, I have good shots of when you guys drop that dubstep track.
Nice.
Oh my God, dubstep into a techno. Crowd was going absolutely ham.
Yep. That's what we were hoping for.
Yeah.
Bring
yeah,
it
just bring it
closer.
closer.
Yeah, bring it closer.
But yeah, we love that set. But yeah, with this, with John and Chris on the panel, we will be diving into the inner workings of how some of your favorite events get booked and discussing their DJ project as well, which has a hand in hand. Usually when you book your own events, you might get to DJ.
Usually.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a perk.
As long as you're not stressed, right? And
Yeah.
one of you guys can at least DJ.
Exactly.
And we will be talking about one of our panel's favorite topics, a state of trance in Toronto. Something we always love talking about week in, week out. So for those of you who don't know, Sleepless Events, when they started, you guys focused heavily on trance. So we know Chris and John have a lot to say about the topic, especially being involved in the scene for so long. So it should be an exciting discussion. And if you haven't already checked out BNB episode 25, we had Victor from the admin of Trance Family Toronto come on, and he gave his thoughts on the scene and also the direction of the Facebook group, and as well as future plans of that, which we'll be talking about in this episode. But before just get started, what's your guys, as I said, you guys have been in the scene for a while, so what's your guys' background in, like, when did you guys start raving? When did you guys start DJing? I guess we'll start with you, Chris.
So first time I went raving was in 2005. So yeah, I've definitely been around for a really long time.
Which clubs were around? Government,
the Docks, which is now Rebel.
Yeah.
Comfort Zone.
Good old Comfort Zone.
Footwork, which is now Coda, right? Yeah.
Really? There was a different name before Coda? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's a long time ago.
Wow.
This is when raving was like niche, very niche at that point.
It was, but it was still really busy at every event, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just crazy to think about how far we've come in terms of, I think the one thing about back then, and we always talk about like government, like it was always an event to go to the government, right? Because you didn't have Uber, easy way to get home. You had to like coordinate with friends.
Yeah.
All the clubs back then, plus no videos.
Yeah, that's
right?
true, because people didn't have good camera phones back then.
Yeah, so it's a definitely different time.
I have a couple of like really just low quality videos that I took there, but like you can't see what's going on.
Yeah. I've started 2010 and I have like no videos before like 2015. They're all like garbage.
Yeah.
It's like static or nothing.
It was truly living the moment type of vibe.
Yeah, honestly, it was. That's why now when my phone's pretty good, I'll record it. I usually rewatch my videos and like recap. So I'm like, I'll watch it. But yeah, so you started raving back then, and then slowly as you're going,
just stuck with it.
Yeah. And then when did you start DJing?
So that, it depends, I guess, if you're counting just DJing as a hobby. I was doing that when I was in university. So just random parties that me and my friends would do. And then I kind of stopped it for a while. And then during COVID is when I picked it up again seriously, and then turned it
really?
into
So only
that.
COVID time you got.
Yeah, well, right before COVID into COVID, because I suddenly had a lot of time on my hands and decided to commit to it.
And
seriously.
your solo project is just Christos, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is just my actual name in Greek. So
and nice.
Yeah.
And you started with Trance originally, and then you've progressed to
So Trance is the main focus when I started off, and then I drifted more towards techno and melodic techno.
Yeah. Nice. How about you, John? Did you start 2005 or you?
No, I started listening to EDM like trance and Eurodance back then.
Yeah.
Like that was my first introduction into electronic music, was trance and Eurodance, but I didn't actually start raving, going out. I'm kind of an introvert. Mm-hmm. I don't really like going out. like back then I didn't really like going out. But my first event was Excision's Executioner Tour.
2014, right?
No, I think it was 2016, 2015 at Sound Academy.
Oh, yeah. That was like the last time he was there before that Coca-Cola show happened, because for him, he needs the proper production, everything to come in. So it was kind of
like my buddy Travis, he introduced me to dubstep, right? Mm-hmm. And I saw it was like 100,000 watts. That's what they were advertising. I'm like, oh crap, I gotta go hear this, right? So I popped my cherry and I went, and then I was like, oh, that's not too bad. It's pretty cool, right? The production, stuff like that. I don't mind it. It's different than listening to it on your headphones at home. And then just...
Yeah, that's how it starts. It's definitely different. Obviously, like I was listening also when I was like 10 years old, right? But like obviously the first event I can go to was like 2010 when I turned of age. But like there was really no all ages I recall back then, like back in the teens, or at least I was from Kitchener, so I didn't, for me to go as a teen probably wasn't gonna happen.
Yeah. But
yeah, like I started with Trance too, right? Like way back in the days, the old Tiestos, Fairies, and then go to Above and Beyond. Yeah, back in the day. So yeah,
I mean, like I would watch YouTube videos of like Tiesto's old, like that circular stage that he'd always be in. I'm like, damn, that looks pretty cool.
Yeah, the old 2004 video.
Cool, yeah, I was like, I wonder what it'd be like to be in like, but DJing, I was like, I wonder what it'd feel like to be like Tiesto. With like, you just see like thousands of people.
No phones. Yeah, no phones. Everyone
honestly,
vibing.
I don't mind the phones. That's a whole nother subject. But I was like, I wonder what Tiesto's feeling like when he's got like literally thousands of people just looking at him and feeding off of that energy. And so I started DJing just by myself in my room, like in 2012.
2012? Okay.
When like Big Room was a big thing.
Yeah.
Big Room, yeah.
Yeah, so I'd like bootleg a bunch of Big Room tracks. I went on YouTube. I bought like a $150 DJ controller. It literally looks like a toy. It's called the Pioneer Wego. It looks like something you would buy at Toys R Us, honestly. Mm-hmm. And I would just like sit in front of my computer watching YouTube videos.
Do you guys have a favorite track? That just all-time favorite track?
For me, it's Tiesto's remix of Adagio for Strings, but tied is also Exploration of Space by Cosmic Gate. Those are my two favorite all-time tracks.
I mean, anytime you see Cosmic Gate, you know they're gonna drop it, and it's good every single time. We were talking about earlier, like how their sets are more prog, but I know like they're gonna play Exploration of Space eventually. So I was just
they'll always throw it in at the end. Yeah. For me, that question is difficult because I love so much music. Yeah. But the last time somebody asked me this, I really thought about it, and I came up with a track called Arcsun. It's Arisen by Arcsun. It was on a State of Trance, I think 2005 or 6. And the reason I like it is because it's like 11 minutes long and it takes forever to build. And like that to me is what trance is supposed to be. It's supposed to be like 4-minute intro, 2-minute breakdown, and then like.
So I have that feeling about Opus by Eric Fritz, right? Where it's the one chord and then every single one. I know a lot of people don't like Opus in a set, and I get it. But like as a breakdown of a track, it is like the most beautiful track for me because it's like one note gets added every couple seconds and then eventually the climax, and then he ends it the same way where he scales it back one note. So I get that, and this is where trance is great when artists do it correctly because you feel the journey of the build up, right? And when the build up's good, we always do this peak peak peak. That's how we feel when it hits.
Yeah.
So John, so you started DJing in 2012, like just started, but when did your DJ alias is JMav, your solo project?
That also started during COVID as well.
Oh, okay.
I actually used to be known as DJ Mavros.
Oh, really?
That was my name. And then I found some guy who lives out in California who released a bunch of tracks on Injuna. I was like, oh crap. He's obviously more established. His name was Mavros. I've spoken to him a couple of times. I'm like, he's obviously more established. I'm just going to give him the name. And I came up with the JMav name. Everybody thinks my name is J because JMav, but
I thought it was J too when I met you.
It's literally just how the letter J is pronounced, right? And then Mav is just like the first 3 letters of my last name.
I'm going to give it a shout out, but that's how I feel about our mutual friend Trenton.
Yeah.
Because his DJ name TJO, so I called him TJ for the longest time. And I think Chris, you're the one who told me, he's actually Trenton. Yeah. I'm like, I was like for like a full year, I was calling him TJ. Yeah. And he was not correcting me until one day you're like, he's actually Trenton. I'm like,
he was too nice to say something, exactly. I guess. He's like, whatever.
What do you call him now?
I call him Trenton. Oh, okay. But I every now and then it like 1 second pause sometimes. I'm like, I'm going to catch myself saying TJ.
Yeah.
I see people come up to me and they're like, hey Jay, like how's it going now? I'm not going to sit there and give them the 10-minute long story about why my name. I'm just like, you can call me Jay, call me John. I don't care. Yeah. It's the same person at the end of the day.
You know what? That trend that you guys mentioned, like during the pandemic, it's like so many people ended up doing that. Like
a lot of people took off during that time. Yeah.
The difference is me and him like started producer less. Like we had already known how to DJ, but during the pandemic, that's how we met.
Yeah. Right. Oh, so you guys only met during the pandemic?
Yes.
Really? Okay, cool.
We both went to Martinello's. Shout out Martinello at Above the Wreckage.
Shout out Martinello.
Yeah. That's where we technically met. We didn't actually meet in person, but we both were taking producer lessons at the same studio. I seen him commenting on a couple of Above the Wreckage things. I see his name was like Breek. I was like, Chris, that sounds Breek. So I gave him a follow. Didn't do anything with it. Just followed him. And then the way we actually met in person is I released my first track. And the label wanted to do like a release stream because Twitch was like, it was during the pandemic. So Twitch was still a big thing. So they wanted to do like a release stream. Mm-hmm. Don't arrest me, Toronto police, but we may or may not have had an illegal party at Above the Wreckage.
What are you talking about? That never happened.
May or may not, can neither confirm nor deny that. But the night before, he messaged me. He's like, and then he introduced himself saying, he's also a student there. And I was like, why don't you just come to my release party?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Right? Just out of the blue. It's totally not my thing. Like I said, I'm an extrovert. I'm not really into meeting new people, but why don't you come along? And he came, and then
and a new friendship was born.
And now we're here. Yeah,
and then all the rest just kind of happened
from that night.
Yeah. Kind of happened on its own, I would say.
Yeah.
Just
that timeline, so moving into we're gonna move into obviously deeper, but that timeline is much quicker than I thought.
Yeah,
I thought usually you guys, because like a lot of people I talk to, like a couple of the collectives, they've known each other since like high school, and they're like 10 years, and
not us.
Yeah, and it's you guys fully committed right in.
The only member of Sleepless that has a relationship with me from before is Angelo. So I've known Angelo for a super long time, but he didn't join in until later.
I've known Travis for like 10 years now.
Yeah. So that makes sense. It's like the two part.
Yeah.
So then with all this, like you guys got into producing also during the same time. Like it seems like now that's the trend. Like you can only go so far as a DJ. You have to kind of produce.
It goes hand in hand, especially if you want to stand out, because like DJing has become super accessible, which is good in some ways because now anybody can try and do it, but it also makes it hard for people to stand out because everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, production is just one of those ways you can try to stand out a little bit more.
Yeah. And I mentioned that dubstep, we're going to talk about your techno alias. So then that started after the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a good trend. Right now, you guys have kind of floated a little bit more with hard techno, like just based on the events too.
Hard techno seems to be what's mostly occupying us right now, but we don't want to give up on the peak time techno either because
it's fun.
That track we put out with Nick Alokan has done really well on streaming, and it got played on Drum Code Radio too. So like,
we'll have a link in the description on that one, but it's a really good song. And I know you guys got a couple more in the pipeline too.
Yeah, we got a bunch.
Yeah, so that's exciting. But right now, do you guys see like that project as like kind of the focal point when it comes to like your DJ producing?
Definitely, yeah. For sure.
It seems like that's the trend too in Toronto right now. Is like obviously hard techno is kind of blowing up here, but like techno in general is now more mainstream.
Yep.
And I know we all love trance at heart, but trance is kind of dying.
Hard techno is a new EDM. Quote me on that.
It's been around for a while.
Hard techno to 2024 is what Big Room House was to 2012, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It kind of is when you look at the main stage festival stuff.
It's also just hard style.
Yeah.
That's a whole other conversation.
That's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, it's also
it's side
true.
trance, it's hard style, it's...
I don't know.
It just kind of goes though, like with the fact that music in general is starting to just bleed from one genre to another. So it's like really hard to call something just one thing.
Yeah. It's very hard. And to be able to tell the difference between different types of music takes another skill that you just have to develop over time.
Yeah. And sometimes you're just like, who cares what it is? As long as it sounds good.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
That's all that really matters.
Yeah, we mentioned it earlier. Holy preset. We're going to include clips in this video. Fire. Their set was good. So, well, I mean, hopefully more of that coming up.
Oh,
for sure.
I definitely, we got something, probably not for a little while, but there's stuff coming up for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely give them their socials a follow. We'll have everything in the links. So then with all this, man, your friendship started in 2021. You guys started a techno project.
Yeah.
But your techno project, you guys started Sleepless Events.
Yes.
But that was before your techno project.
It
correct?
was, yeah. It took us maybe a year and a half from when Sleepless started before we officially started Deimos and Phobos.
A year and a half,
Yeah.
roughly, yeah.
Yeah. So that was right out of the pandemic. You guys did your first event right there, or was it during the pandemic? No, I don't think you guys did.
Our first one was technically after things opened up. Yeah.
Yeah,
at
it was
Baseline.
me, Christos, and Travis just ran
Yeah.
a free trance event at Baseline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, what was your guys' initial reason? Like, obviously, you guys just became friends. You guys, so with Sleepless, how many people are there?
So now it's four of us.
Now it's four.
Yeah.
It's Angelo, yourself,
Travis,
and Travis.
yeah.
Started as three, me, Travis, and
Yeah.
Christos,
And then
the
Angelo.
original fan. And
Yeah.
Angelo came on a couple months later, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, with that, was your guys' main focus trance at the beginning? To try
Yeah,
and,
that was 100% why we started it, because at the time when things were coming back from COVID, everything was tech house. Literally everything was tech house.
Yeah.
Which is, I get it. It was popular, makes sense. If you're throwing events and you want to get as many people out as possible, you do a tech house event. But for those of us that really wanted trance, we were like, there's not much going on.
There wasn't.
So we just decided, well, why don't we just do it? And then that way we have exactly what we want. So
Yeah, as I said, like pandemic happened and then the whole industry just was whack at that point. Like coming out of the gates, no one knew what was trending other than tech house. I knew tech house right out of the gate, but tech house in Toronto has been like a thing for like years.
Yeah.
But it did take off right after COVID, I remember. But then...
But after COVID, like everybody wanted to go out. And people still do want to go out.
they do, but it's a little more difficult to get them out sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm a little different on that. I know with the trance scene, a lot of people retired and then they'll be like, oh, pandemic happened. I guess I'm retiring. And then they never came back.
Some of them never did. Some of them, though, I think like they just need the right event to get them to come out.
Trance
They're
Classics. Gabriel and Jordan's Trance Classic. I saw
that
people
did really well.
I saw people I haven't seen in years come out to that event.
Exactly. So it's
like-
all about just making sure you have the right thing that people want, which is kind of hard to figure out sometimes.
So with Sleepless, like, what was your guys' aspiration originally? Just to bring trance to the scene? Like there was no market for it?
Yeah, I don't think we had any specific long-term goal other than to just kind of book some of our favorite DJs at the time.
Yeah.
And obviously we were kind of constrained with a smaller budget, so we couldn't do anything extravagant. So we just booked like, you know, a couple of DJs that were, I guess, good, but not super expensive. And, you know, turned out to do quite well.
Nice. And you guys did during this time frame. So like, was there any end goal that you guys had, like in terms of like where you wanted to see Sleepless after a year? Just kind of like,
I wish I could say we had some grand vision and that we executed perfectly, but honestly, we're just kind of doing things like just on the fly. It's just, you know, we'll do one event, see how it goes. And then after that, we can regroup and try another one, see how that one goes. It was very much like, if this one does well, we can try another one. If it doesn't do well, I don't know if we can do it again. So, yeah.
You just sort of wanted to see like what you wanted to see in the scene.
We were just thinking like, who are some of our favorite DJs we haven't seen in a while?
Yeah.
And then the other part of it too was we wanted to give a chance to people like us who are brand new to DJ, and then a couple other people who have now turned out to be very popular. Like Belinda was one of our early support DJs that we booked. TJO as well. So yeah, we were just like, okay, we'll give shots to people that normally aren't getting shots at playing in clubs. And
this is why I know you probably noticed the recent trends of collectives in Toronto. It's honestly a good concept to bring people just like together to like get the opportunity to DJ. My only thing is that I was gonna say on the record, like the only problem is I feel like you can't really grow from the collective. That's the only thing that's kind of hard. Like you kind of at a certain point, the collectives are great to like get you foot in the door, but I think eventually everyone has to graduate from the collective is what I call it.
Which is why like a lot of collectives also are just kind of working with each other now and trying to like share their roster so everybody gets to do different types of events. But you're right, it's like it's good for getting started, but it also is kind of limiting too.
For tuning into this week's episode. If you enjoyed and want to support us, please share it with a fellow raver, like and subscribe. This podcast is audience funded. So if you'd like to go above and beyond and support us, we'll have a PayPal donation link in the description. Please enjoy the rest of your episode.
Sometimes. In the end, it comes down to producing.
We were having this conversation the other day. It's like when you're in a collective, you're so comfortable within that collective that doing stuff outside of the collective is sort of discomforting. So just leaving that and just trying to do other stuff is a challenge for some people.
And also sometimes like other people won't let you play for another collective because it's like, oh, you know,
the politics in Toronto.
There's a lot of politics.
The music scene. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Stop with the politics. Thank you.
I know most cities probably suffer with this for sure.
It's a problem everywhere. It's not just Toronto, but like obviously we're just more.
We get enough bullshit politicians from our prime minister. We don't need it in the music scene. Thank you.
Oh man,
that's true. But then. I love like you guys saw the niche for like trance to try and bring it back. And then you guys experimented with like dubstep too, right? The one thing I will say about dubstep is like the pandemic for me is like dubstep had a huge blow up right before the pandemic. And then after it still, I would say had the blow up too, but it was kind of like a lull in music right before the pandemic. And then like, I don't know. I find recently the trends in dubstep have been a little bit downwards. At least in Toronto, it's been kind of interesting.
It doesn't seem like there's as many big dubstep shows as there were in the past. That's for sure.
Yeah. Like I was going to like right before the pandemic, I was going to so many dubstep shows. I was definitely going to more dub shows, but there was like one every other week or something like from DNR, Dead Reality. But it seems like it's gone a little bit downhill. But I know you guys took a stab at a couple of dubstep shows.
Yeah, we tried it out because Travis is a big dubstep guy, and we wanted to do something that he would enjoy as well.
The nice thing about like even the trance scene is that we were talking about this like Amorphic. Now he's big. But when you guys got him, that was a perfect timing to get Amorphic.
It's hilarious because we got him to play at Cathedral.
Yeah, I remember you telling me.
And then he comes back and he's playing at like History, and it's just like the contrast.
Yeah, actually, he came as support for I forget who it was. One of the. I forget who.
And now he's on his own tour. He's coming back to Toronto on like his own tour.
I think so. Yeah.
I saw him post like an ad or something. An ad popped up for me on Facebook. He's at Toronto and coming back, and it's his own tour.
So shout out Travis on jumping. He's having a good ear for the music.
Well, that's another reason why we started Sleepless is we got sick and tired of the same DJs coming to Toronto
one problem in
over
Toronto.
and over and over. Like you can only see Marcus Schultz so many times.
Yeah.
You can only see Gareth Emery so many times. You can only see Armin so many times. They play the same set. So we're just like, we need to like, that's why we brought people like Pretty Pink. She's never been there. Pretty Pink did. We were like her Canadian debut, and then she blew up. We were
funny
Amorphix.
Story about that one actually.
We were Amorphix Toronto debut, and now he's blowing the hell up. He's coming back on his own tour now. Like YDG, he's opening for Sullivan King, I think, at Rebel.
Yeah.
Or History, right? Who else? Asteroid, Daniel Skyver. They've never been here before.
Yeah. I know some DJs wanted to come. I remember, I think Asteroid wanted to come. Daniel Skyver wanted to come here.
They've been wanting to come forever. It's just the reality of the market is that people weren't willing to take a chance on those DJs. And then we just decided we were going to do it. So we did it.
But it's always nice to see, like, especially someone like Amorphic. I remember the funny story that you told me is you didn't realize how tall he was.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We had the smallest table for him.
Cathedral gave us the smallest table. It was literally like thigh height. Thigh height.
The poor guy's back must have been hurting after that.
Amorphic is 6'5" for everyone's reference.
Seriously?
He's 6'5".
He was hunched over the entire set. Yeah. And I just felt so bad for him.
We didn't know, right? We never met the guy, and then he's up there, and the table's like thigh height, and I'm just like, holy crap!
I've never seen the video,
over like a hunchback.
I mean, he was having fun. Like,
he had a good time.
Yeah, he wanted to come to Toronto, so like, shout out Amorphic, like, great job. And now he's at Lost Lands this weekend.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, he's at Lost Lands, so
which is crazy.
Yeah. So one other thing. So wait, what about melodic techno? Like with. Obviously, the trend recently has been everything melodic techno has been blowing up, but you guys didn't really do much melodic techno events, did you?
We tried to get involved in a couple of them, but they were always collaborations with different people. And I think the problem with melodic techno in Toronto is that there's too much of it, but it's not being done in a way that people are responding. I think the Zamna event might be the best way to do it because I think people respond best when there's like a brand associated with it. And it's like a big lineup.
So to touch up on that lineup, I know Toronto rave community, up in arms a little bit about the lineup, but honestly,
I haven't even checked to see what they have to say about it.
Well, I mean, some people were just assuming, Mark is playing, so they're gonna get Anamaya or Tail of Us is playing.
I said that to him too. I was like, MRAC's playing. Why don't they just bring Tail of Us?
Because they're expensive.
MRAC, right? Is it
Mirak.
Mirak, okay.
Yeah. It's a Slavic word for darkness.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I thought it was just a hometown discount, even though he's moved when he was young. But I
don't think he claims us as a hometown.
No, I don't think he does.
Used to live here?
No, Carmine was born in Toronto, and then he moved at a young age.
That's how we met. I forget. Matteo, yes, that's how you met Matteo in Italy. So he's technically born here, but not really.
I didn't know that. Okay.
But everyone always says, he's coming back home. But like he was here till like 6 or some shit like that.
Honestly, this is going to be a hot subject, but I think Tale of Us is mid at best.
Okay, hang on.
That's
because your exposure to Tale of Us was post-COVID. That's why you think they're mid.
Well, I'm going off of what I hear and see. They're mid.
Listen to old Tale of Us. That was real melodic techno. What they're playing now is not melodic techno.
Well, it's like Above and Beyond. I think Above and Beyond is currently mid, but back Above and Beyond.
They're very different.
I don't really like progressive and stuff like that. So,
for me, like Above and Beyond, like for me, like I do enjoy some stuff, but like Group Theory prior, Trance Around the World for me, Above and Beyond is still peak, right?
Yes, Trance
Around the World.
You
still listen to it?
Yeah.
No, I stopped listening to it. I'm not.
Me and Chris went to Afterlife in New York, and they were on the lineup, obviously. But I had a much better time during Mathemaze time and Agents of Time.
Actually, so
both their sets, they played like one after another.
So Benny and I went last year, and obviously the Tale of Us, we were so gassed by the end of it. I mean, we had an epic journey, which we've talked about before, to get there. So we were running on fumes when Tale of Us was playing, but on day, like we saw the Anamai set, it
was pretty mid, and it was so packed.
I don't enjoy his Genesis sets just because they're too. You know exactly what you're gonna get. It's the same songs, it's the same visuals, which is cool.
And the transition,
there's no transition.
I've said he wasn't a good DJ, and sometimes he gets exposed in those ones because it's more about the visual. But I actually really want to see a Mark set. Like, it looks really cool.
He's really fun. He's really fun as a DJ. I like him a lot. Yeah.
But I agree. When we went Tale of Us, like other DJs were like way better. Like I liked Mind Against. That was probably my favorite set of the entire weekend that I saw.
Mind Against are always good.
Yeah. Like that was it was in the rain too, and I loved it.
Yeah.
And it was good. But I find
it's just all hype, man. It's all about marketing too.
Yeah.
But some melodic techno guys really stand out in my personal opinion, like Rebuke or Masano, for me. But like I'm kind of with John. Tale of Us is kind of like they kind of get everything.
It's kind of like
the
all
pro-
melodic
it's just
techno.
The problem with Tale of Us is as soon as they started that whole visuals experiment, they stopped making good music.
They make good music. They just don't. The sets are not great.
Yeah. So just circling back to the Zamna thing, I actually appreciated their booking because I think I was talking to you about this, Chris.
Yeah.
There's actually a crazy market for like melodic techno, but like the chill melodic. I want to say like the more Middle Eastern sound.
Yeah.
That's why the day one lineup with Mehut Orman and like those other back to back, it made sense to bring that market to.
Yeah. They booked him for.
So honestly,
Zamna,
that Zamna lineup overall.
I think the lineup's good. Yo,
Pretty good.
I thought it was really good.
The venue is gonna be massive.
I know. I've never been.
I don't even know how it's the budget for that is possible.
I'm sure they spent a lot of money for this
spent a
show.
lot of money.
Escape did True North Festival there in like 2016 or 2015.
There hasn't been an event there in a while, so I'm curious to see how.
Hardwell. They also did Hardwell.
I thought it was gonna be at the casino. To be
back.
honest,
Yeah.
a lot of people were saying, "Oh, it's gonna be at the casino."
That's what I thought. This is interesting too because it's the first Zamna event that's indoors, as far as I know.
true.
So
I don't think any other one has been indoors.
Usually it's like daytime or some sort of nighttime, like tropical.
Still out in the jungles of Tulum.
Yeah.
where
Yeah,
it's
we'll
always
see.
so
As
hot.
I said, it'll be an exciting event. Definitely check it out. And once again, for those of you disappointed with the lineup, just explore new music.
Yeah.
It's honestly, I that's what honestly I was like. I don't give second thought to some of those artists. I'm like, it's kind of, but I'm like, you know what? If I go, I'll definitely check them out. Right?
Yeah,
You might discover an
exactly.
artist you like. So
Very
always
true.
remember that about any lineup.
Keep an open mind.
Oh,
I
keep an
can
eye.
agree with that because I used to hate techno. I despise techno because in my mind, techno is.
We say all roads lead to techno.
No, but
There's a
like,
reason we say
because you
it.
see, in my mind, like all techno is like that Detroit techno where it's like very samey for 6 hours. It's just a kick and percussion.
Yeah.
And I can't get behind that. I need some. My ADD just needs constant change, right?
Yeah.
And then I met Christos, and he's like, "Why don't you like listen?" And he sends me like Space 92 and that kind of techno. I'm like,
Like
"Wait, what
peak
the?"
time techno.
I'm like, "What the hell is this?" I'm like, "This is very trancey. I like it. There's progression to it."
Have you gotten into hard groove?
No, I can't get into, like Schron's. Like, it's not going to be a hot Klangkünstler mid.
That's like
I was bored after 15 minutes. Not gonna lie. I looked at Christos. I'm like, Christos, I regret coming here.
Oh, the Coda set, right?
Yes.
That's what I said.
Because
Yeah.
after 15 minutes, I was like, okay, I'm over this Schron's kick and same percussion sound. And it was just that for 2 hours straight. And I'm like, not about it. Not about it at all. I need change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need a breakdown here and there. I need a build up. I need a melody here thrown in here and there, you know, like
I'm a little bit more open-minded in general when it comes to music. So like I'm way more open to different styles, even within genres. Like,
We'll definitely dive into it later when we talk about event bookings because
Yeah.
like Europe is on a different trend. But just going back to the Sleepless thing. So who started the Sleepless trend? You guys or Tom?
well, I don't know when I know when they became a studio here in Toronto, but I don't know if they had this like business prior because they're from Ireland, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if they had a Sleepless Studios out in Ireland or not, but
Yeah, this is more of just a funny
if
question
they
because
didn't, it's definitely us.
yeah,
so.
it was just funny because Sleepless Events and then Sleepless
Yeah.
Studios came in. Shout out Tom. We visited his studio. It's
Yeah, they're really
good.
nice.
Really
they
nice.
invited us too because we had a whole thing where I was messaging. I was like, "Hey guys, people think you guys are us."
Yeah, because that's what you thought. It's natural. It's like, oh, you
Right.
guys started Sleepless Events. Might as well you
Right.
start a studio.
Exactly.
Right? And
So
it's just-
I had so many DMs who were like, "Did you guys open a studio?" I'm like, "What? What are you talking about?" No.
It's just naturally.
Yeah.
But yeah, shout out Tom. Definitely check out Sleepless Studios.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, moving on to like the core of our topic.
Yes.
Booking events.
Yes.
It's something that's been on our minds. Definitely people don't have much insight. I know how much stress it causes, just like any event planning.
It can be the most stressful thing
Yeah.
you'll ever get yourself into for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
just walk us through the process of booking an event.
Like your guys' first event, when you guys wanted to do the baseline, how did like just basic, how did that like
So the main thing is first you got to find a venue that's willing to take a chance on you if you're a first-time promoter. And we got lucky because at the time we got into it, there was a big boom and like we knew that people were excited to party. And I think all the venues knew that. So they're willing to take a chance on new people. But, you know, it's getting a little bit harder now because if you don't have a good relationship with a venue already, it's kind of tough to get them to give you a night. Or if they do, they're going to have like really high demands as to like how much money has to go to them.
Yeah. Like also like, bars and all that stuff. What you have to
like
spend.
the bar spends are usually pretty high now. And I think they're a little bit unrealistic because people generally don't drink enough to hit that bar spend.
Unfortunately not in our scene.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, the venue part is difficult. And then getting the attention of agents is also really difficult when you're starting out because, you know, they're getting tons of emails in their inbox and they see you and they're like, well, who's this guy? Like, why am I going to even bother with this guy, right? I don't know if he can pull off an event or even if like, you know, he might ruin the brand of my DJ if I book a show with him. But we got kind of lucky because Angelo had a really good relationship with a lot of people in the industry because he's been around longer than I have. So yeah, he's got tons of friends and he just vouched for us and they gave us a shot.
That goes back to the job market. It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Honestly, yes. Knowing people helps a lot for sure. Yeah.
Interesting. So in all you guys, what was the most successful event that you guys
definitely the two Giuseppe events were the
Two
most
of them?
successful.
Yeah.
Both of them
were
did
excellent.
really well financially for us and they carried us through some of our other losses, which was great. Because if we hadn't had those two shows make us the money and then having lost the other ones, it would have been much more painful.
The first one was that your 1 year or
so the 1 year that we did at Nomad was the first time.
And the second time at Forbidden City.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was the Forbidden City one a partnership or?
We did it with Electric Escape. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get into the partnership stuff later. So going back to the main the topic, what goes into planning event. So obviously you guys have seen the recent Toronto Trance family, the poll.
Yeah.
Like someone like John O'Callaghan.
Yeah.
So like, what would, if you wanted to bring John O'Callaghan, just take us through the thought process of like what's required and some of like the difficulties of like, you can throw numbers or whatever and like
I'll avoid giving directly his cost because it's generally not it's frowned upon to share info like that, but like the first thing is you got to just really consider, can I get enough people through the door to offset how much this DJ is going to cost me? And a lot of times when we don't book a DJ, it's because the answer is we're not sure or no, like we don't think we'll get enough people in the door, right? So we've come close to booking a bunch of DJs that we like a lot, we haven't seen in a long time. And then when we sit there and we're crunching the numbers, we're like, okay, based on how the other events did and how many people came out for those, we're like, I don't think we can pull this off without losing, you know, several $1,000s on the night, right? Because if you don't get enough people and you don't get enough ticket sales, then you're also not hitting the bar spend, which means you might have to be out of pocket for that too. And then before you know it, it's like you've lost $5,000 on one event.
On one event, right?
Yeah, it gets kind of dicey, right? So
topic on the bar spend.
Yeah.
So I know that at 2:00 the bar closes.
Yes.
And that extension, you can pay for an extension, right?
Yeah. So actually, a lot of the venues lately have been extending it to 4 a.m. I don't think it costs them too much more. I think it's like $500 or something like that.
Do you think it's worth it?
It must be if they're doing it.
I feel like they only do it on like when they know it's a party night is what I call it.
Yeah.
Right? Where like obviously like the Electric Islands.
Yes.
People go to Electric Islands.
Well, yeah,
on
those
Coda.
nights it makes sense because you know people are just going to be there all night long. So yeah, might as well.
Yeah.
Because you'll make some money for doing it.
And that extension is that the organizers? Does that come out from the organizers or does that come from
so the venues deal with that because they're the ones that have the liquor license and all that. So they handle all of it.
So it's kind of like submitting a request and it's like, hey, we want to extend this to 4 a.m.
Yeah.
And then be
usually they'll just do it on their own if they think it's a night where they're going to make a lot of money at the bar.
Yeah.
Like Nomad did it for Giuseppe.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, they did?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Because we told them like, hey, we got six, like
They
it
knew
was
'cause,
sold out weeks in advance. So we
Right.
told them like, hey, we got 600 people coming through the door. So
And boots were sold out too, right?
every single booth was sold. But like speaking on the bar spend, it closes at 12. Most people start arriving at 12, maybe 11:30. So you have a 2 hour, maybe 2.5 hour window to sell about $5,000 worth of whatever they booze and water and whatever
if you
else.
can't get a crowd to come early, it sucks for your bar spend.
That's true.
And that's why like a lot of promoters try to strategically pick support DJs based on like who they think will bring a crowd with them.
Is it like crowds as in like friends?
Because some people have bigger social circles than others, which as a promoter, I hate this because it's like, I want to put who I think is the best DJ on the event, but sometimes it's like,
it's about the business.
If this person brings like 30, 40 friends though, that's going to help the bottom line more. And then I hate making those decisions because I feel so dirty doing it.
Yeah, but
especially because I'm a DJ and like, it's just,
that factors in when you get booked.
I hate it, bro.
Yeah,
I hate it. But it's the business is just like that, right?
In the end, everyone's got to make a positive bottom line, right? So it makes sense.
Yeah.
So then going back to like the John O'Callaghan, like contract. So it's like, I want to bring John O'Callaghan here.
Yes.
You obviously talking to their agent, contract negotiations, like before anything's even set, like that. How long, when you think the event's going to happen, how long time frame is that?
At least a few months out, I would say.
Few months?
From when you start the discussion to when the event happens, usually a few months out.
So what happens when you see like a DJ just get booked right away? Like it's just like more timing, like they're here in the area. Like
sometimes, you just get offered somebody who's going to be nearby, and then it's just you have to give a quick yes or no, or else they're going to pass on to somebody else.
Okay, that makes sense.
So yeah.
One interesting thing is that with ChatGPT, although I think when you guys started, ChatGPT wasn't really a thing.
No, it wasn't yet. No.
So do you think more venues are using ChatGPT to like, hey, make me a contract for this and just spitting it out?
I don't know. I to be honest, what I think is that people just copy and paste existing contracts and just swap out names.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's all they're doing because they all the contracts look the same.
Well, I mean, all the contracts we received is like a line where it's like a blank space is there. It's just a template.
Yeah.
So they'll put whatever DJ is coming on this date to this city to this company, and then they just delete that and send it off to the next company.
And there's been stuff in riders that like they forget to get rid of, and then we like get it, and they're like, we didn't actually need that.
The riders are
like, I just spent $500 on this. So each DJ has a rider that like it says if they have any like food requirements or drink requirements when they're there, or what kind of equipment they request to play on.
So you mean like that whenever you see like like that welcome package? It's like, I must have this.
Sometimes it's specifically stated, I have to have this, and this.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We've received some pretty ridiculous ones, and we've gone back to the manager and we're like, listen, we're not giving your DJ new van shoes.
I need new shoes to DJ.
I read the rider. It's like new white van shoes, and we're like, listen, that's not happening.
We don't have the budget for
We'll mention the DJ. I don't want to call anybody out, but that's
so
something
funny.
ridiculous we have seen on a rider.
Yeah.
And for international DJs,
Yes.
what is the transportation like?
Usually we go pick them up ourselves if we can, just because we want to get that one-on-one time with them. A lot of people outsource it. Like they'll just get a private driver who just ferries them around all day and all night. But for us, like a big part of doing these events is that we want to meet these DJs and we want to like build relationships with them.
Yeah.
So we'll go out of our way to get them, we'll do whatever they want. Like if they call us and be like, hey, I want this. Yes.
How big? The one thing I've always wondered is how big it probably varies, but how big is the flight and hotel? Who covers it? Like how big is that part of
the flight is always in the negotiated overall price. Hotel is extra usually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which has saved us on a couple of occasions because some of the DJs are friends with Angelo and
they just
hang out with him.
Oh, wow. Okay. I mean, shout out Angelo for bringing
I got Craig Connelly's my favorite DJ, and he stayed with Angelo, and I got to play video games with my favorite DJ.
We just hang out.
I was playing Ninja Turtles with Craig Connelly. I'm like, is this real life right now? Like,
yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, that was a great event. The trilogy.
I heard you talking about it with Victor.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know he only said there was only like 150 people there, but you said we must have lost some money on that one. I won't say, but like we made a little bit on that.
I think
that's great.
A couple $100.
Couple $100, yeah.
I think for the venue size, I think looking at it, didn't feel packed, but like I think for the venue size was probably good then.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we also got those lasers.
If we hadn't got the lasers,
those lasers
wouldn't have looked as good.
We're gonna include those lasers. I remember going to you. I'm like, yo, those lasers. He's like, yeah, that's probably been the best investment we've made on it.
It was worth it. It was definitely worth it.
Yeah.
It looked really good in the photos.
It was so random too. Some guy messaged me on Facebook. He's like, hey, I run a laser company. Do you mind if I like come to one of your events? I'll do it for like $200. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And I remember just being at the back, like,
that was me. I remember you were manning the door.
I was stuck working the door, but I had the best spot.
Chris was at the door, and I'm just videoing the laser. I'm like, yo, Chris, this is the best shit ever that you guys have done.
It was.
Because I've been going to a lot of you guys' events since you guys started, right?
That's right.
We're all trance heads here.
You're an OG supporter.
Yeah. So
You are. We appreciate you, Sonny.
Of course.
Thank you. But yeah, you guys are just seeing the progression. But then I think that was probably my one blow up. I'm like,
Yeah. It was a good night, actually.
Yeah.
It was a very good
it was a
night.
very good set too.
I mean, especially for me, I got the clothes for my favorite.
And your
DJ.
favorite song played too.
That's
One of your
right.
favorite songs, the Black Hole.
Oh yeah, I love Black Hole by Craig. Yeah, it's a great song. Great song.
I remember we were standing. He's like, he hasn't played it yet. All right, I'm gonna go in.
Yeah.
That's one of my. You mentioned one of my. That's like top 5 for me, on top of Adagio for strings and Black Hole.
So you already mentioned about like venue. Is it difficult to find a venue in Toronto?
It's getting harder and harder because we're losing venues that used to be available, or the ones that were reasonably like cheap have gotten expensive suddenly.
Yeah, so we did an episode on like the new venue. Well, there's actually more. I would say there's more venues right now in Toronto, but I'm assuming with everything, price has gone astronomically higher.
Yeah, and there's more people running parties too, so availability isn't always there. Like you're competing now against tons of different collectives.
Yeah, that's
that
the
have
next
grown.
thing we want to say.
Organizers nowadays.
Yeah,
Like just to name a few, like Industry, Pep Rally, Tribunal, Embrace, Flow, like the standards, Embrace, Inc.
Yeah.
They've all been around. Got like for ravers, pretty good probably.
Yeah, I think overall that's good because you get way more choice, you get way more
Competition,
events.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because right now I'm gonna just relay it back to like the techno scene, how techno is pretty strong here. Like, but like hard techno in Toronto, like people are bringing stuff that other cities in North America aren't getting, which is
I know.
we're on New York level. Well, no, not New York level.
We're
but,
getting, you know what? We're getting close though,
Yeah.
because like, do you ever use that app EDM Train?
I do.
Okay, so the page for Toronto and the page for New York is starting to get almost to the same level of populated. When before there was a gigantic difference. Like there would have been one event per weekend in Toronto.
I'd still go
and, like,
broke in New York based on the amount of
quality
events.
But New
Like,
York's New York. So
New York
is
is bonkers.
of course.
But yeah, we say New York is usually the testing hub for anything in Europe.
Yep.
But honestly, like good shout out to the Toronto promoters. They're bringing some stuff here that we're not getting. Like Michelin Industries bringing Michelin Holy Priest.
Yeah.
Right. North
People
America
are taking
debut.
more risks for sure.
Yeah. And like Holy Priest, shout out Industry. Very looked like a successful event. I'm assuming it was a successful event.
It was. Trust me.
And but North American debut, and what a debut, I will say. So
it was the best way to come into a market because like anybody who missed out on it the first time are not going to miss out on it the second time he comes.
Benny, we've been talking about this event for weeks. We even got friends to like you're gonna miss Holy Priest. We got him. We got Ekern's behind the camera, but we literally like it's like you're gonna miss Holy Priest. Are you sure? And then Benny sold his everything that weekend. He was supposed to go to Ali and Fila. He was supposed to go to Electric Island. Didn't go to anything. He's like, I'm just going to Holy Priest.
Wow. Good call.
Yeah.
I think that was
he's like, and then it's like, is this going to be the event of the weekend? Ali and Fila was pretty good. Seven Lions was pretty good. EI, other than the sound issues, not bad.
That location always has problems with the sound.
But Emily's set was really good from what I heard. Because he went, Ekern went Emily's set. And then it was like the prelude to what Holy Priest baptized us.
Yes.
Right? It's leading up to your guys' set too, which was like a perfect intro for that. But Holy Priest and El Mefti, like
great combo.
We were honestly kind of scared that we were going a little too hard before the headliner, and then he comes up to us. He's like, "Hey guys, thanks for like setting up the crowd for me really nicely." And we're like, "Oh, thank God!"
Because we got an extra half hour that we weren't planning to do, and it was because their flights were delayed. And so we were like, okay, it's getting late. So we like obviously have to bump up the energy, but like we got to do it in a way where we don't look like we're, just going completely off before those guys. But they played so well anyway, it doesn't matter. So
even though they lost you guys got half an hour, great.
Yeah.
But like the back-to-back went a little shorter.
Exactly.
Like, honestly, just whatever.
But they crushed
that's like a
it,
bonus.
man,
They crushed it. So don't miss Holy Priest or any one of those bookings next time.
Exactly.
It's good. So I guess for you guys, when it came to, did you guys have like a venue you guys preferred? Like when you guys booked for a trance artist, like something that you found worked every time?
Or it's just mostly budget.
Or just mostly budget?
Honestly, I think it was mostly budget based. I mean, I love Nomad. It's a really great venue, but it was also one of the most expensive we've ever used. And so
really,
yeah, that's why we only did it.
A lot.
That's why we only did Giuseppe there, and then we tried a couple other events there that didn't go so well, and yeah, we lost.
Honestly, every time we announced an event at
Nomad
Cathedral.
Oh, Cathedral. Yeah, people don't
I would
like
see
Cathedral.
I would see a couple people complaining. I'm like, listen, the size of Cathedral is perfect for what we expect. Because if 150 people come to Cathedral, it looks packed. So it looks good.
I had fun.
And
when
like Cathedral was giving us like a really good price on their
yeah.
bar spend as well. So it's just like people got to understand that.
I get it. It's not an ideal venue, but like sometimes you just can't use a proper venue because it's not going to be.
It's better than nothing.
Friendly.
It's in a good location too, in my opinion.
Exactly.
How much of the venue do you think plays a factor into a successful event?
So I guess this ties into the promotion question.
I would say a good 30-40%. Like I will
it
never
makes a
go
big
to another
difference.
event at
difference.
Union or Toy Box
or
whatever the hell they're calling it now. Like I mean, I know they got their air conditioner in there now, but I remember just like walking out of there some nights and like I just lost 20 pounds worth of sweat. I was like elbowed into shit, like gut like 20 times. I'm like, I'm so done with this joint.
So Ink's been advertising. It's like, oh, our ACs are fully working in terms of that. Honestly, I went Maddox earlier this year. Like a lot of the lower, like I don't even feel like good from what I heard. But like obviously when it gets near sold out, which Cranked at recently was sold out. Yeah, ACs can't save it. A sold out department is not as bad as Union Toy Box,
right?
But we were still.
It's not just the AC; it's so narrow.
I mean, but they improved some of that. Like the production there is really good.
Yeah, I haven't been there, but the production looks really good.
We went one night when they just reopened it, and it looks really nice inside. Like it's much better than before. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't been when it's like a crazy busy night to
no,
compare.
it looks good from the DJ perspective too, which I find is now the trend where like a lot of times like the lasers and all that is for the audience, but lately I've been seeing like especially in Europe like Vernipset, like the DJs probably has a better view than the actual departments like that too, where the DJ has a better view than the actual audience. I would say
it also you can also sell it like to the DJ. Hey, it's gonna be really good for like the club is gonna be really good for your marketing because it looks really nice on your stories and whatnot. So
they want good content.
Of course,
that's what they get out of touring, right? Like they get the good content, they can post, hype themselves up for bigger and better things. So yeah, it obviously makes a difference for sure. Like no one's gonna use clips from Cathedral and be like, yo. I mean, some of them did, but like as soon as they moved on to bigger things, like, all right, clear that off the timeline now.
It's not that great of a view, unfortunately.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's a decent venue for like when I went for Pretty Pink there. I don't know if I went to another.
That was our first headliner event. And like
I enjoyed that. That was good.
The story behind that one is so weird too, because I met her very randomly. So I didn't book her through her agent. I met her directly. I was in Las Vegas for EDC, and I went to the pool party Above and Beyond was doing on the one day, and she was just chilling there by herself. So I was like, I'm just gonna go talk to her. So I was like, hey, my name's Chris. I'm like, I'm a fan of your music. I was like, you ever been to Toronto?
And this is after I think you started Sleepless. Like you already.
We had done a couple of events with just local DJs like ourselves and a few other people. And then, I just asked her. She was like, actually, I would love to go to Toronto. And then she gave me all the info I needed and we made it happen. So
I think the one thing is that I think a lot of DJs want to come to Toronto. It's just with all this factors, venue, it's just like, is it realistic? And also there, like, especially in the trance scene, unfortunately, it's just like, yes, I know you want to come, but you're probably going to have to front a lot of the money to come.
Yeah.
Like, like your flight and all that stuff.
And some of them are okay with that.
Yeah.
We'll name who, but like a couple of the smaller trance DJs we did, like gave us very good. I was straight up with them about their expectations, and they were willing to give us a fair deal, which is why we even booked them.
I think that's why. I think that's why this whole trance discussion comes back and saying like, oh, some of these artists just will come here for free or like like a discount.
It's more if they're self-managed. If they have a manager, it's a lot harder because the manager also needs to take a cut.
I think right now, as I said, with everything going up, when you just add up the numbers, it just doesn't make sense even for.
It's tough, man.
At the end of the day, it's still a business. Right?
Still business, right?
Because flights are expensive, hotels are expensive. They're only getting more and more expensive.
And like I know we say it's a business, but we didn't really start Sleepless to make money like a normal business.
Yeah.
If
Which
we
is
did,
good,
it would have been nice. like our whole thing was like, if we did end up making a little bit of pocket change from it for each of us, it'd be nice. But we were just literally trying to make enough money to bring Just like
the
break
people
even,
you want to see,
and
just
then
to
bring
keep
the
it
next
going.
DJ
Yeah.
just to keep it going. That's why we started it. So it's like,
And potentially new artists that
yeah,
you would
exactly.
discover,
So like if
right?
we made some pocket change, cool, but literally we just wanted to make enough money to bring the next guy.
You think that's the mindset of most people? Like
No.
most of these? No. Okay.
Absolutely not.
We've
Unfortunately.
worked with a lot of other companies, and there are some that are doing it because they love music. There are some that are doing it because it's an easy way to make money sometimes,
Or to party.
or to party for sure. And some people do it because they just love being the center of attention and being the person. You know what I mean? There's a lot of that. There's some big egos in this industry for sure, right?
So one thing about promotion, like obviously us starting this podcast too, like social media is everything, promoting, right? Like how, I guess I want to say it's annoying.
Yeah.
How annoying is promoting for an event, especially like,
I hate it.
I despise it with every inch of my being.
For me, it's like I'm not comfortable constantly messaging people just to come out to an event because I feel like the interaction is not genuine. I'm just trying to sell you a product. And I know that if it was the other way around, they were messaging me for that reason, I'd be like, oh, I don't want to even open up this message to me inbox.
I know,
so they don't know I read it.
It's something we've talked about. We had a producer, Mena, come on.
Yeah.
Wearing his merch. But essentially, he just spends 2 to 3 hours a night cold DMing people. That's how he found us. It's just like, it works because it's genuine.
Yeah.
And you might look at it like we looked at it.
Right.
But like, it's just like the concept of doing it is just like exhausting.
It's not my personality.
It's
Like I
same here.
can't, I
That's
can't
not
do
our-
stuff like that. Like I've worked in sales before, like for banks. And I remember trying to sell people products that they didn't really need, but I wanted to hit my targets to get my bonus.
Yeah.
And like I get flashbacks to that sometimes when we're
Yeah,
playing.
it's one of those things too. Like you, like especially the booking DJ, you're like, oh, I'm gonna book a John O'Callahan. So like the name itself, I don't need to do any promotion. People will just show up. But unfortunately, that's
the
not,
best. Yeah. If
But
you
I
book
would
a
say that's
person,
not the reality, unfortunately, for a lot of stuff.
Not always. For Giuseppe, it was.
Giuseppe
Yeah.
was.
I didn't have to ask anybody to come to that one. They just all decided.
We actually
we're buying
broke
tickets.
Eventbrite.
I
We
remember
announced
that.
it.
Yeah.
We announced it, and then like literally 10 minutes later, we got constant DMs. Hey, I can't buy tickets. The
Yeah.
ticket link is broken. And it's just like we must have sold like 150 tickets in the first hour, and we were like, "Holy crap!"
We're expert tier 1 buyers of
Yeah.
tickets, and we were struggling to get tickets. I remember it was like, holy shit, we can't get like I think we did get them, but like obviously
Right.
like a lot of, as we guys said, it was like an outing for a lot of people we knew too. So like everyone was going. It's as I said, you didn't really promote it because it's like, oh, Giuseppe's coming. All right, we're all going.
And I wish every event was like that.
Yeah.
But the reality is with the smaller DJs, if you're going to take a risk on those shows, then you got to do a certain amount of, hey guys, like, why don't you come out? It's been a while since I've seen you.
Yeah.
Do you guys do like sort of a research? Say for example, do you guys have an Instagram page?
Yeah.
So maybe if people that are, how do I link this? You would go into the DJ's page and you would see how many people that are following him and your page at the same
We
time.
do that all the time. We
Okay.
also use like there's apps that show you Spotify statistics of who's listening in the city.
area? Oh,
So you can tell like how many listeners do they have in Toronto, and if the number's good, then you're like, okay, I feel a lot safer booking this DJ. But it's not always a guarantee with trance because they might have a lot of listeners sometimes, but if those people are super old and they don't party anymore, it doesn't help you out for ticket sales. So you got to factor in that too, right? Like some guys have high numbers, but you know that they're not going to draw.
Someone like
stuff.
Alan Watts has like 5,000 listeners, like 4,000 to 5,000 listeners in Toronto.
Right.
Yeah.
If we booked him, we'd be lucky to maybe get 100 people out.
I know,
Of
it's
those
so
5,000 people.
sad to think of that.
So we
I
can
know
always
I've
go
told
off of
you,
that.
it's like if you book Will Reese, I'll pay $100 to go to that event. But unfortunately, we probably only get like 10 of us who will pay $100.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't think that works,
Just
right?
everyone will lose money.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
for sure.
But we get to see Will Reese in Toronto,
Yeah.
but unfortunately, that's not the reality of the business.
Yeah.
So, how bad is the pre-anxiety before an event? I would think.
It depends on the event.
Oh,
So
like a Giuseppe.
the Giuseppe
not-
events, we didn't worry about anything because we were like, dude, we made our money back. It's gonna be a great show. People are gonna just, there's gonna be so many people having a great time. And we worked with like good venues where we knew that things were gonna run smoothly too, so we didn't have to worry about like that kind of problem either. So yeah, like those events, great. Other events where like you know, the venues are like, oh, we're going to have equipment. And then they're like, oh, by the way, we're not going to have the equipment 2 days out. And they're like, good luck finding what you need.
Oh,
Like,
by the way, our
what?
bar license got canceled 2 weeks before your
Yes.
event.
Which
when
one?
we had, was that
Schneider.
the Schneider one? Yeah.
Okay, but the venue changed, I heard too, right?
Well,
Well,
okay.
we had to
so
change
the
the
thing
venue
is,
because of the date as well.
yeah, like the date, the venue called us and they're like, "Hey, the fire marshal came in.
Yeah.
Our capacity doesn't match what's on the license."
Because
So
apparently with the Sean Tyus event, after that one, somebody must have complained that they had too many people.
This
in
is
there.
Bar Cathedral, right?
Yeah, it was like
Okay.
Cathedral. So then they were like, yeah, we can't have this many people for the next event. And they told us a really low number. And we're like, we can't limit it to that because we've
I think it
sold
was
more
like
tickets to
75
that.
people.
Is
or
this
something
why
like
we
that.
see no events at Bar Cathedral right now?
I think so. I think
that's
so.
sad.
Yeah.
But,
Because
but
technically-
honestly, they've been doing a lot of renovations to open up more space.
Because it's technically a
recently.
spaghetti factory, isn't it?
It still is, yeah.
Yeah, part of it's a spaghetti factory. I don't just remember.
It's great treating DJs to a meal at the spaghetti factory afterwards, yeah.
Honestly, the DJs love it though. Like we take them to the green room, but it's literally just the
It's like a private
spaghetti
room,
factory
yeah.
private room. But they see like you walk in and they see the carousel and stuff, and they're like, "Oh, that's cool," and they're taking pictures and stuff like that. So it's not too bad.
It's a novelty, I think, for
Yeah.
a lot of them.
Yeah.
They're like, this is a goofy looking venue, but it works.
Delegation within the team, is it you guys have set roles usually?
Usually, yeah.
Are you the muscle at the door?
Well,
The amount of time for
'Cause I'd heard
confusion
you
for the
see Chris
security
at the
guard
back.
is
So,
hilarious.
I have worked as security in the past.
Yeah.
So like, you know, whatever, I'm a big guy. People always mistake me for security at events. Like I've had people literally like give me like wallets they find in the ground. They're like, hey, I just found this on the ground. And I'm like, okay, why are you giving it to me? Like, I'll keep it, sure.
As like Chris may be stature nicer, but he is one of the nicest people you'll meet. So
Yeah.
definitely he will always be up for a conversation. So
Oh,
if you
for
see
sure.
him, definitely
I love talking to people,
Yeah.
man. Plus, we meet so many cool people at these events
we
too.
do.
So
That's
like,
why we love raving. Like you just meet so
Yeah.
many new people. Doesn't matter if you're a new raver, old raver,
Yeah.
DJing.
I've met some pretty interesting people that like I'll meet them one time and it's like I know we might not actually ever talk again, but like just this one conversation, it's like it's good. We'll have it. We get something out of it and we'll remember it maybe randomly here and there, and
Yeah,
it's cool.
for sure. So I guess we touched upon a little bit of the points, but what are some things people don't know about hosting and booking events? Like I guess the top thing that like kind of
the cost that goes into it.
I think people just don't understand how much the actual overhead is for a lot of the
like,
events.
like the poll, right? Like,
Yeah.
bring this art. Why aren't we bringing
Right.
this artist? Right? It's just
Yeah.
like, well, it's
It's not that simple.
I think if we like shared some of our spreadsheets with people, they'd probably be like, oh, okay, that's why so and so hasn't been here
Yeah.
in a long time.
so the market's really well. Okay, so the market's really hard right now, but like we've seen new people pop up. But like, what's a tip you guys would give like someone who wants to start hosting events?
Don't. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I would say, and I know this might not be helpful, but it's like if one of the people involved in your company has a lot of money, that will help.
that would definitely help.
Like,
Yeah.
I know we're all laughing
In all
about that
seriousness,
literally.
because if you have one person or maybe a couple of people who have money that they're not worried about losing, like if it's not going to result in you not affording your rent next month to lose a couple thousand here and there,
True.
because sometimes it takes a while to get going and you might have to like lose money on a couple of events consecutively. And like for guys like me and John and Travis, when we were starting off, we weren't able to lose a certain amount of money or else we'd be like in really bad situations,
Yeah.
right? So like
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's tough.
like-
Like we'd be the
and-
same thing if
and
we tried to
you
host
might
an event,
notice
yeah.
that a lot of the more successful promoters are either large collectives where there's a lot of individuals to help, you know, carry that burden, or they might be people who are generally very wealthy. So
Money goes
we
long.
actually
Yeah.
see a lot of those new event organizers like teaming up with other event organizers.
Yeah.
What's that like?
it can be very difficult because everybody's got a different vision, also different, you know, levels of how hardworking they might be. Some people are just there to party. Some people are, you know, willing to put in a lot of work. So we've worked with a lot of companies. Some of them have been fantastic, like Electric Escape. Those guys are great. They are professional in every way.
They've been around for a while too. in the
That's
scene.
why they've
Yeah.
been around for a while, because they know what they're doing. And
Yeah.
like, you know, they've learned mistakes from past events that have not gone well. So they know like, okay, if something doesn't look right, we're not going to risk it.
They're always trying something new. So shout out Electric Escape. We enjoy going to their events.
Those guys are great, man. And then there's other companies we worked with, which I won't mention the ones that aren't so good that we've worked with, just out of respect. But like, they'll try to cut corners on things. They may choose to, let's just say, be less than honest about how the money's handled the night of and after the event, trying to trick other partners.
That's one terrifying thing. Like some of the upcoming one, like Entourage, it's like a team up of 4 people. I'm just like, how does that work?
Yeah,
that's a lot of money pooling, I'm assuming.
That one, because the budget's quite high for an event like that for sure. So I'm sure these guys have all sat down and made things very clear about how they expect it to go. And
another thing that's been interesting is all these like collabs, like Pep Rally Takeover at like Electric Island, Teletech coming here.
Yeah.
Just the name. It's funny, the first Teletech event, I don't think Teletech actually even advertised it.
No, they didn't. You're right.
But this upcoming one, they are.
A couple of story posts where it's like New York, Toronto, and stuff like that.
But not as much as this time.
Not as much as this time. This time,
honestly, has Teletech been actually posting about the
this one
collab posts.
The Toronto. So the funny thing is, the first, I'm pretty sure when they take him as collaborator, they never accept it as a collaborator. And then this upcoming one, it's coming up on the thing. It's like coming to Toronto again.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I think part of it's when it comes down the industry. Oh, this was actually successful.
Yeah, so maybe they weren't sure about the first one. They're like, let's see how it goes before.
Because I'm assuming they just gave the name. You just paid for the name.
Essentially, you just give them some cash. They'll let you use the name, and then
Blackworks did that too earlier this year. Industry, I think, did it at Coda.
Basewell.
Yeah, Basewell, the Deck Phase. Well, I think Deck Phase is owner of Blackworks. Yeah. So it's kind of like him just tagging along to see how it is. I think we talked about that one.
The the new events that are like the Sojourn Festival, how does that work? Is it they both pool the money for the venue and then they each get a stage, or
so usually with those types of things they'll just split the costs. It might not necessarily be 50-50. They might do it like 60-40 or 70-30, but basically you're just pooling your resources together, hoping that the individual pool of each company's draw will also help bring more people overall, right? So that's why you're seeing so much more of those types of collaborations.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode. If you enjoyed and want to support us, please share it with a fellow raver, like, and subscribe. This podcast is audience funded, so if you'd like to go above and beyond and support us, we'll have a PayPal donation link in the description. Please enjoy the rest of your episode.
Because it's like hedging your bets, basically. Or like, if we work together, we split the risk, but also like we potentially could make it bigger than individuals could, right?
Yeah. Because I attended one day of Sojourn. Honestly, a great local underground festival for that Toronto needed, like something little like that in the summer. So it was a good old TBA warehouse being the host. But it was a really good festival, especially showcasing a lot of locals.
Yeah.
One thing about that is that I guess in the contract, like obviously you have like profit, like with the artist getting paid and all that stuff, but then like all that's discussed too with like the team ups, like how you splitting profits beforehand, obviously. You just like see how much money in.
You don't want to wait till after.
No, exactly.
It's gonna get ugly. So yeah.
It's like, no. Our stage was better, so we get more. No, I'm assuming it's not like that.
Sometimes they try. So like on a lot of the ticket sites, you can track like if there's different links for the same event. So you can kind of track like which promoter technically sold more. So some promoters have tried to use that as a way to not evenly split revenue with their partners. I don't personally like that because it's just, we still both invested in the event. I think you should get back proportionately what you invest. That's all. Like whether it does really well or doesn't go well at all, you should win or lose based on that, I think.
No, that makes sense. Yeah. So I guess with that, what are some, like, you guys started doing events, what are some big challenges you guys face, like as like up until now coming up?
Like travel, like Spada, for example. Like
that was a nightmare day.
Spada, like literally got a call from his manager like 6 hours before the event, like, hey, he missed his flight, he's not coming. 6 hours before doors open, we're like, oh, fantastic.
Yeah. And then like the problem is you can't cancel in the venue because they still need to have something happen that night because they've already dedicated the night and they still want to hit their whatever amount that has to be made for them.
That's tough.
So then you're panicking because you're like, well, I still have to figure out a way to get people to come. So usually you're like, just come for free. And hopefully they'll spend enough to make the club happy. And then trying to figure out the logistics of rebooking it afterwards. And
so who would take the loss on that one? Would you guys take the loss?
We would.
it's always the promoter, dude. It's always the promoter, which is that's the game.
Another stressful thing to answer your question is dealing with difficult club owners.
Yeah.
Who don't want to understand the type of music.
Yes.
Like a club will think like, oh, we had 500 people in here for a tech house DJ last week.
Yeah.
So this event should do just as well. It's like, no, we're booking a trance DJ that no one's ever heard about.
Yeah.
So like just bad expectations.
Yeah.
Right?
I think a lot of them, they just don't understand the differences between genres and like the crowds that are associated with it.
So is there a lot of, I don't know about event venues or people trying to make a quick buck and not understanding the industry?
There's a lot of that.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of politics, obviously. We've talked about
there's
that.
also a lot of people who just think, oh, I can snap up some easy money here, and they don't really know what they're getting into.
Also, like agents don't want to understand that just because your DJ sold 600 tickets in Europe a couple weeks ago.
Different demographic.
Or like, well, be like, oh, well, he sold 600 tickets in Montreal. I'm like, okay, cool. That's Montreal. Different scene out there.
Yeah.
But with regards to the like, I guess as ravers, we would hope, like I said, I like seeing these collaborations because like, oh, everyone's working together to try and help build Toronto to like a better like Zamna and all that coming up for sure. But then is there a lot of sabotaging of?
Let me just put it this way. It's like there's a lot of shit talking that goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah,
some of it spills over into the public sometimes, as you may have noticed on certain threads.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody sees that and they notice, but it's much worse behind the scenes than it is.
Honestly, we've been pretty lucky to not get called out yet.
Yeah,
but I feel like that's just how like we
really
run it. Like we're genuinely cool people. We try not to intentionally screw anybody over.
Have you seen the Hardwell raging at Saga Festival?
Yes.
What's your guys' opinion on that?
I would think
should
Hardwell
he
was
have
on the
been more
wrong
professional? Yes, but you're also a festival. Why doesn't your equipment work? It's not that difficult.
I get it. Nothing
like,
sucks more than bad equipment,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's like, let me just get through this set the best of my abilities, and maybe later I can make a little post about it and say, listen, you know what, they didn't give me good equipment. I'm sorry if my set wasn't so good, guys, whatever, but
Like a
do
story.
it in a
I think it
moment.
made Hardwell look bad.
Yeah.
And then, like,
100%.
what do you expect the promoter to do other than to release a passive aggressive statement saying
I
James,
know.
what was it, James Hype? DJ
Yeah,
just fine right before?
Right.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of other DJs.
Yeah, it's just like, why did you have difficulties? I don't like seeing that, but like it was kind of
And I don't even know what happened specifically. Like, I don't know what was wrong with the equipment. I don't know if
I think it was like a whole bunch of events that just happened and it just spilled over.
but it's could have handled it better. But
I'm one of those people that thinks just like soldier through it, figure it out afterwards.
Yeah. Figure it out behind closed doors
Yeah.
because you just look like a baby.
Because also you're ruining the experience for
Yeah.
whoever's out there in the crowd, right? Because they're just seeing you go off.
This
That's
is
not what they paid for.
This is another question I like to ask. How do you guys feel about ghost producers?
There's a lot of that. So a part of being in the industry and talking to so many of my idols is finding out who is ghost produced and who's not. And like, I've had my heart torn to pieces in some instances.
Should we tell them
No,
the
no,
number?
no, I don't want to hear it either.
We're not going to mention any names because that's
No,
just,
not to name the number.
Listen, most of the industry is a couple of really talented producers
Yes.
making music for the rest. Let's just put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Naming no names, but
Yeah.
your favorite DJ is probably ghost produced. I'm sorry to burst your bubble.
A lot of them are. And even like I've even heard that guys who used to be legit producers because of their touring schedules have stopped
I
producing.
understand. Yeah.
And that one I kind of understand more because like I get it. You don't have time. Like when are you going to be in the studio? You're
Like-
always touring, right? But
Like, I just want to say, like,
Yeah.
I don't know about Armin, right? But like
Yeah.
Armin, like with his schedule, how the hell do you have time to be in the studio and not have
Yeah.
like, maybe just But once again, it comes back to like talk about slander all the time.
Yeah.
You should just see their names on collabs. It's like, how much are you actually doing on this collab, right?
Yeah,
Probably
I'm
something
pretty
like,
sure Armin has come out and talked about that one dude that he does work a lot with.
Benno or something, whatever
Yeah,
his
like
name
one of
is.
his mentors. Like he's
Yeah,
like a,
I think they like work on tracks together.
Armin's
but
more of an
yeah.
extreme case because
Yeah.
you've seen him in the studio actually producing music.
Oh,
on
yeah,
like
I would
making,
never doubt him.
Yeah,
I would
exactly.
never
like,
doubt him,
That's
yeah.
like, but like slander for the dubstep scene. I'm just like, how are you guys collabing with this artist, and like everything's a collab and nothing's a solo project.
So
I'm
when
just
it's
like,
a collab, maybe it's the other person's
Yeah.
always the one actually making the track.
yeah, I'm not calling it slander. I'm just saying I just
Right.
noticed that trend
Yeah.
a little bit. So.
It's tough, man, and
Yeah.
like, yeah, I get it.
And
'cause-
in the end, it's also like for using slander again.
Mhm.
Maybe it's beneficial for the other artists to have slander on it,
Yeah.
even if they didn't do as much work as them.
yeah,
Just getting
because your name's attached
Your
to
name's
his
attached
name.
to it, right?
Exactly.
Well, I mean, even for the producing, they don't make money on music sales
until you get to a certain level. and
until you
then
get to a
do.
certain.
Yeah.
You get more money by getting gigs
Yeah.
and touring. So to them, what's the point of wasting their time producing when they can pay somebody $2,000, $3,000,
Yeah.
whatever the going rate is these days? I don't know because we don't use a ghost producer.
yeah.
100% own productions
Yeah.
from us. So, but like, I can pay some guy $3,000 to do it, and I can go on tour and make $10,000 a night instead. Why waste my time in a studio?
Yeah.
So I kind of get it, but still.
So yeah, just to round out like the Sleepless with your guys' direction and Trance, but you guys tried dubstep. What's the current direction you guys are trying to take Sleepless in?
I
Right?
feel like it's techno.
Just
'cause
techno?
That's especially now that John and I are both techno producers and like we want to open up doors for ourselves in that industry. So like it just makes sense to lean into it with the company as well.
Yeah,
And you know, I still want to do some trance, but like
it's getting harder and harder.
it's getting harder. Yeah.
So yeah, we're just circling on to that next part.
Yeah.
Like you guys have, I think you guys took a look at our discussion with Victor regarding the
Yep.
state of trance in Toronto.
Yeah.
I guess what is your guys' thoughts on the current state? In my opinion, it's pretty bleak. I look at Ink's post of the trance artists. And I'm
Yeah.
like, guys, you guys come like every single year. Like it's
Oh.
like more mainstream.
As soon as Rami announced
Yeah.
the last trance unity ever, I was like, oh, if he can't make it work, nobody
Yeah,
can.
that's
I mean, trance as we know it is dead. Like the uplifting 138
Yeah.
at least in
sound,
North America. Yeah.
Yeah.
like stick a
I think
work in it, it's done. But what people don't realize is they're listening to trance whether they know it or not.
that's the thing is I think like, okay, a good example would be if you think about rock music, right? Like, is Elvis the same as Jimi Hendrix? No. Right? But they're both technically rock, right? So over time, a genre has to change to like move with the times and the new audience. And I feel like trance is kind of in that phase right now, but the new version of trance is not being called trance.
That's the thing we're noticing is that the trance sound is coming like the big discussion
Yeah.
is melodic techno trance.
Yes.
The new stuff is,
Yes.
yes. 2015 melodic techno was way different.
It was.
And now when you hear the new stuff, you're like, this is just slow trance.
Yeah.
With like some
And hard techno
yeah.
is just fast trance.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like
yeah.
when David Guetta called his new track Future Rave.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
exactly what it is.
Exactly.
It's just trance.
This is trance. But what's exciting, this is where the whole like right now drum and bass has a huge resurgence, like in the bass world, right? Just in North America, crazy.
Yeah.
Chasing Status kind of led it, but like
Yep.
right now the sound in Europe, we talk about this a bunch. That Euro sound is coming
It's
back,
coming back.
I love
coming
it.
back hard,
Yeah.
and
I love
we
that.
haven't adapted it fully here. But you're seeing like industry book Funk Tribu.
Yeah.
That entire night is going to be that sound.
Didn't they do Marlon Hofstad as well?
No,
They haven't booked
No.
Marlon yet.
That's
I thought
gonna
they
be a
did.
good
Somebody?
book. No,
DJ
no.
Heartstrings, the
Heartstrings.
EI, Pep Rally did
Oh.
DJ Heartstrings, which
Oh,
is
okay.
like the
Yeah.
Eurodance too that's
Yeah.
coming back.
I
So
we
kind of like
actually-
that that's coming
Yeah,
back.
I
'cause
love it too.
I love
We're
that
actually
style,
doing a
though.
remix for another Toronto producer.
Yeah.
And we weren't expecting to take it down that route, but like we just kind of it started and then it just grew.
John
and-
was like, I just really want to put a reverse bass on this track. And we're
Yeah.
like, all right, let's do it. And then we started sounding more and more Euro-y, like
Yeah,
as
yeah,
things
yeah.
went on.
I mean, it sounds really good. So
hard
I mean,
groove, Euro,
Yeah,
like
you're
that
always
whole.
in. Are you guys going to Mishlift next week?
No, I'm not.
I gotta work next
I gotta
week.
recommend that one, but
So I'm trying to like pull back on how many things I'm going to because
That's what we keep saying.
dude, I'm so tired.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
also like I'm pretty old, so
it affects our productions as well because
Yeah.
like we'll go out one night and we're not home till like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday morning. And then I'll go to his house to try and produce, and it's not working. None of the ideas are working. We're getting brain fog. Yeah. And literally the next weekend after getting some rest, I'll go to his house and it'll just start clicking. Yeah. So going out every weekend affects our productions, and we don't want it to let it affect our productions.
Yeah, because we're trying to lean into that part more. Like, our goal for Deimos and Phobos is we want to become like international at some point. And producing is the only way to make that really happen. So
your DJ career can only take you so far if you're just DJing gigs.
I'm cool with us just doing like 2-3 gigs here in Toronto that are really good, and then the rest of the time just be in the studio and produce. Yeah, because we'll get more.
You'll get more long term, long term, especially if a track blows up.
Yes, all it takes is one, man.
Yeah, that's what we keep saying. All it takes is one reel, one
reel, one podcast,
exactly,
and we're there, bro.
That's right.
Exactly, man. So one thing is that going back to like what would help the scene. We talked about this with Victor, like melodic techno's trance.
Yeah.
Right, but you never see the trance that we like, the uplift book with melodic techno. Well, you think like one interesting thing in North America, Dream State, obviously powerhouse, Insomniac has a lot of buying power, so they can take Dream State even at a loss if they wanted, right? That's like really the only trance you get in North America. Like shout out Trance Unity, they've been trying for years, but as you said, the last Trance Unity, so even Montreal is struggling. And Insomniac can take, but one thing they did is they booked trance with like hard techno, which is kind of weird, but like ASOT in Europe is doing melodic techno with like uplift and all that. It's just weird dynamic, I guess. But I guess I would thought like maybe that would have revived the scene here because melodic techno is very popular here.
You know who I would love to see try this is Inc. because they book Armin all the time, right? He's exclusive to them. If they could book him and Agents of Time together because they've collabed now, they made a track together. Why not have them both and see how many people come out to an event like that
on a festival,
on a whatever?
I think the thing is work though because everybody's going to come for Armin. There's no real way to gauge if those ticket sales are because they added Agents of Time. Agents of Time is just whatever. Everybody's coming for Armin.
Because you're going to sell at an Armin show regardless.
Exactly. So you can put a pickle up there.
That's why I'm thinking you do Agents of Time with like John O'Callaghan or something like, something weird. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like something like...
Yeah, you're right. Because those are definitely two different crowds entirely. Like the hardcore John O'Callaghan fans are not necessarily the Agents of Time or Afterlife anything kind of fans.
That's the thing with EI. They have two different stages and they're like not even close in genres.
Yeah, but then it's a budget issue again because it's like now you're paying 2 DJs and you're charging 1 ticket. So it's like how expensive can that ticket get before people are like, nah, I'm good, right?
And somebody like John O'Callaghan, who we won't name his price, but it's up there.
He's not cheap.
He's not cheap.
I would think a lot of these melodic techno guys aren't cheap anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Agents of Time is not cheap.
Well, some of them still are. Yeah. But
somebody like Agents of Time, they're 100%, or Mathame, or any of those big names are not going to be cheap.
Do you think, Hilo and what's his actual name? Oliver Heldens? Do you think that charge, because he does 2 different genres, do you think that charge is 2 different DJs or it's just a slightly cheaper version of his main?
I think that's just him trying to jump on the bandwagon.
I think he still probably has the same price.
I was going to say, instead of like, I'm less cynical. I don't think he's just jumping on a band. I think he just enjoys different types of music and he wants to keep them separate for branding reasons.
Mm-hmm. Someone like Gordo. He was Big Room. He was Trap. He was Dubstep.
Chris brings up a good point because like I've seen in the dubstep scene, I saw a guy's career like literally almost exit the scene because people were going to a show expecting him to play the dubstep, but then he released more of like a vocal like dubstep album where he's like metal focused. This is Getter and his
I love Getter.
But he has that other alias that he released an album. Yeah, it's like, this is this type of show, but he put it under the Getter alias, and people are like, why aren't you playing dubstep? Like
you got to be careful with that.
Yeah, that's why I think separating them is a good idea.
Yeah, for that. Sure.
So will visuals save trance?
No.
Okay. But like we were thinking of that. Will visuals save trance?
But like what you said, like trance as we know it, like the uplifting and the 138. No, honestly, everybody, we live in an age of instant satisfaction, like instant gratification, no one wants to sit through a 3-minute long breakdown. Every single song.
Also, I think too, like you got to factor in like the mood globally is not the same as it was. Like times have changed. I feel like people gravitate more towards dark and angry music. That's why hard techno is doing so well.
Well, they call it the TikTok sound, right?
Dark, like hard techno is very much about like being rebellious and not being part of the system and how things are currently.
I think another problem is, unfortunately, we're in the ADHD generation.
Yes,
that
100%.
That is a big part of it
where,
for sure. Yeah.
like, even if you look at, like, I'm going to call Ben Nicky. No transitions. This is literally banger after banger. But honestly, people, I like it.
Yeah.
Well, even in our own productions, breakdown is like no longer than a minute long. It's like breakdown, build up.
Yeah.
From like
shortened it down.
Beginning of the breakdown to the drop is literally a minute, maybe.
Yeah,
shorter
attention spans are for sure a big part of it. Yeah, you're right.
So do you guys want to, any final, like just on this topic, any final things about the trance scene? Like it sucks to see what's happening in Montreal with the last Trance Unity, because if they're struggling, like we've been struggling.
Yeah. So
I don't know, what's your guys' final thoughts on?
I think there's still hope. I don't think it's dead. I think we just have to accept that it's not going to be looking the same. Yeah. It's going to exist as something else. And it might take a little while for that thing to like settle into whatever it's going to be long term, but it's going to be something that takes probably a little bit of hard techno, something that takes a little bit of melodic techno, a little bit of the old school trance, and just fuse it all together.
How about a trance collective?
I honestly don't think it's that deep. Think about if Armin comes to Toronto next year, let's just say, and he drops the most banger 2-hour trance set, nothing but trance.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of 20-year-olds in that, 25-year-olds in that scene in there. They're like, what the hell is this?
They might leave at the first breakdown.
Bro. I don't think so. There's
only one way to find out. And it's like somebody's going to have to take that risk.
Like if Cosmic Gate came, like you said, Gabriel and Dresden came back here and their set was great. It was sold out.
Yeah. But so how old was the crowd there?
I don't know. I didn't go.
It was pretty old. I saw a lot of people.
No, but like, I mean, it doesn't have to be a straight uplifting set, but if it's 75% of a set was proper trance and the rest was all his cheesy bullshit.
Well, it's also the trend.
Play his blah 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 at the end or whatever the hell he wants to play.
I'm not considering blah 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 as part of his discography. That's
not a good
non-canon to me.
What's that other song that you really love?
On and On.
Yeah.
Dude, that night that Armin last came here, he's like, hey, Toronto, you want to hear like something I've been working on? I'm like, I turn around. I'm like, okay, cool. Maybe it's something. It was just a drum and bass remix of blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, I'm out. Deuce it. Like,
I do that night. I did like that. He had a moment. We talked about this before. I didn't like the set either, but he had like 20 minutes of good trance, and then like that new collab with Armin, which is now out, Follow the Light. Oh, yeah. That's not bad.
Yeah. I mean, he played that Ben Nicky remix of Adagio for strings. That was lit.
I have a love-hate with... everyone knows I have a love-hate with Armin. It's kind of like he releases garbage for the mainstream audience. But then you see that one Armin trance set, like what happened last Dream State before that pre-party I was just telling you guys about. And he's just like, okay, this is what I remember.
But I mean, going back, like if Armin came to Rebel and played a 75% trance set, proper trance, and Cosmic Gate did that, and Marcus did that, and Ferry Corsten did that. Like, just like play your cheese, but like most of the set just mainly trance. I think that would go a long way, but it's not cool. It's not sexy.
Right.
It doesn't get Instagram views. So I know they're not going to do it. So
yeah, it's weird too how their sound has changed over the year. Like Cosmic, the open to close set.
Yeah.
I already know like the first 3 hours you could probably ignore if you like prog. I mean, that's all to you, but like it's prog for the first like 3-4 hours. Even all these sets they release, it's like 80% prog and then like 20% trance. It's just unfortunately.
Me personally, I saw a lot of these guys in the glory days, so I'll always have those memories. Same and here. I'm just like, I'm good with that. I'll just leave that in the past and I'll move on.
Put it in the box and be like, okay, I don't need to see them again. Yeah. Just moving on to your guys' techno project. It seems like that's the main focus right now, right? Definitely, like taking Sleepless and also your techno project and like kind of making it more techno.
Yep.
A lot of exciting things coming up.
So for music wise, we got a lot of collabs that we're trying to finish. We kind of want to get a bunch of them done because we're going to ADE and we're just hoping maybe we can, hand out a couple of demo USBs or something.
Yeah, it's a good spot.
But yeah, like we've been collabing with Nick out in Edmonton, Alokan, a lot because we get along really well with him. He's a really good dude, knows his music too. We've done a bunch of remixes for other people, and we're trying to get more exposure by working with other people too.
Well, mainly focus in the studio, right? Trying to get those tracks out there. Yeah.
Sure.
How does collabs work? Do you work on a section and you send it over?
Which is a little bit frustrating because sometimes there's like weeks in between when you send the project.
That's why you have to work on multiple tracks at once, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like sometimes we'll do our thing, we send it out, and then like 3 weeks later we'll finally get something back from the other person. And then we got to do our thing, send it back. And so it ends up taking a really long time.
Something on my mind. How close is that dubstep hard techno track to releasing?
So it's basically done.
Yeah.
We got to get it remastered. It's not loud enough.
Yeah.
So we got to get that remastered. But yeah, other than that, it's basically, we just don't know what label to send it to.
That's a good, because like I'm a basshead. You guys know I like basshead. I like hard techno too. And for some reason I have some bass heads that are stubborn that won't like hard techno. I'm like, guys, it literally hits harder than dubstep.
Dude, I went to Space Laces at Revival or whatever, and he dropped a couple of hard techno tracks. I was like, took me off guard. I was like, whoa, what the hell?
Yeah.
Is there still bookings at Revival?
I don't know.
I haven't seen one in a while.
Not really.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can't remember what DJ. It was the chick who opened for Excision at the casino. She played a couple. Lazy
and Jessica Oddfred. I think they had two girls.
They played a couple of hard techno tracks too. Me and Travis just looked at each other like,
ew. It's like them. I'm finding the same trend with like drum and bass. How people were infusing drum and bass into their sets, but now it's like they're doing hard techno. In fact, Christine's at Lost Lands, our other co-host. And she was at the new stage as Crater.
That's
and she's sending us video
it's so sick. I saw it on Instagram. I'm like, holy smokes.
And then she sent us video because all her friends went to a dubstep DJ and she's at Crater alone and they're playing hard techno for an hour. It was Hive Mind, which is the collab of Space Laces, Must Die, and Keizo.
Cool.
And they do like hard tech. I guess they're doing hard techno and hard style at that point. And she was just like losing her mind there. It was funny to see.
It's fun mixing the genres, but sometimes like you're also a little bit nervous. Like, will people like this? Because again, going back to our friend Nick, he like kind of ragged on us a little bit for the dubstep track. He's like,
oh really?
It's like, what are you guys doing? This is not techno. We're like, yeah, we know, but it's fun.
It's fun.
But yeah, so basically
as long as it sounds good, right?
Going back to that, like we don't know what label will accept that. There's a couple of DJs out there that are currently like Hi Dude. We really like Hi Dude.
Yeah.
They're like the pioneers of, they call it techno step. Gravedigger is doing it a little bit. Like, I don't know if Gravedigger posted a story. He's doing a collab with Ganja White Knight.
Oh, really? Okay.
And it sounded really, really good. It was like a same.
I thought Gravedigger did more hardstyle. I guess.
Well, he started off as a dubstep DJ. Like, if you go through his SoundCloud, it's all dubstep, and then you can hear the progression of.
Right.
He started making like techno step, and then it's just straight hard techno after that.
I think he saw what like I'm thinking, where like dubstep and hard techno kind of work together, and you can
they do go well together.
As I said, when you guys dropped that track, the energy in that room was. Shout out Industry for hosting that and bringing that event, but like that
Who
energy
was that
in
new
that
one?
room. Huh?
The new there was another organizer that was
it was System
Toronto.
Toronto. So shout out
yeah.
Industry and System Toronto. That's but that energy in that room, even for that track in general, like your guys set was off the wall.
Honestly, we saw a couple of bass heads walking around over there. Like I don't know if there was a bass show that night.
It was there was really nothing.
I mean, there was Millennium, but Millennium's at like midnight, right? Yeah. So like, why would they be here? But like, they're walking around in like those dubstep jerseys, and they got like the pashminas on. I'm like, yo, Christos, this shit's gonna like pop off when we play that. And I like a couple of the bass heads were walking around afterwards, stopping us like, yo, what was that one track you played? I'm like, I knew you guys would like that.
I love switch ups like that. That's why I personally like it. And I've always said like the two go hand in hand. So exactly. like that's why I love that track.
We're definitely gonna experiment some more with that type of stuff for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, do you guys still think hard techno is a phase though?
Yes.
Yeah, I kind of agree now.
So
I think so. It's basically like it's just TikTok techno in my opinion.
Yeah. The thing is, if the crowd for it is very young, which it is generally, young people get bored quick and move on to something else. So it will happen eventually. It'll stick around, but it won't be as popular as it is currently. I think.
Yeah, this is where we think the sound is adapting to more the hard groove. and like hard dance.
Yeah.
I think that's the big one, or hard house is what they're calling it too. I think that's what it's just everything hard,
and then something.
and then something like
Yeah.
hard bounce. Like I don't know, all
Right.
these new genres keep popping up and no one can
Can't
define
keep
anything.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But something hard essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just loud.
All
and
goes back
angry.
to hard style.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, Dan Christ posted a video the other day. It's like, hey, what do you think of my like hard techno banger? And the drop comes on. I sent it to Nick and Chris. I'm like, isn't this just hard style? It was literally a hard style. He's like, I made 160 BPM hard techno banger. It's literally hard style. I'm like,
yeah.
The good old debate. Just like the trance melodic techno,
Yeah.
you
like
get the hard style,
if
hard
Stan
techno.
Christ played that at Q Dance or whatever the big hard style festivals it's called, I forget. It wouldn't be out of place.
Right.
So, is there anything you guys want, like final sign off for your guys' projects? Anything exciting you want to share with people? We've talked about a bunch. We appreciate you guys.
There's some cool stuff coming that we just can't talk about
Yeah.
yet. So like we're gonna work with other promoters to try and get some interesting stuff soon. But yeah,
I guess the one final thing I have is, what do you guys like? We've talked about like, I think we're in a good state for Toronto for the scene. What do you guys think? Like with right now everything going on overall.
Overall, we're really good. But I hope that people don't get burned out, because there's some signs that the crowd is getting burned out from too much right now.
I expected that. We talked about it earlier about that the long weekend, the long Labor Day long weekend, where it's just like they had Ali and Fila, Deadbeats in Toronto,
Seven
like
Lions,
the Deadbeats collab, like Hamdi, like that event. I would have sold out like on any other night, but like Seven Lions and all three events were kind of like,
and Millennium.
Yeah.
other than Millennium Sunday, it's just like I think people are like choosing, like when you do too much, it's like, yo, people, like it's hard in this economy to like.
You know what's interesting about the economic aspect of it though is I know a ton of people that are traveling for events.
Yeah.
That too.
So I think people want experiences more than they want individual nights.
Yeah.
And that's kind of hard as a promoter because you can't necessarily offer that.
That's a tough one too that weekend, because Arc is that weekend, Electric Island's that weekend, and North Coast in Chicago, which now has become a premier festival, because Electric Zoo was usually that weekend. And rip Electric Zoo, but that's their own fault.
That's what actually we were talking about on the Victor's episode about experiences. In terms of the afterlife visuals and then the trance, because people do want experience, especially if they're spending money.
Yeah. I've been going to Tulum for the last 4 winters, and it's amazing.
It's an experience.
I keep bringing new friends every time I go, just to like tell them, hey guys, you got to see this. And it's hard to replicate that when you're just doing a one-off event in Toronto.
It's true.
Yeah,
that's why people will like save for that. Like I personally, even though I go to local events quite often, I'm like saving for my next festival that I want to go to, because that's like a grander experience in my opinion. But you get a new experience, like experience.
You might not go to a bunch of local ones if you're saving just for that, right? Which is how it usually happens. So
yeah.
Well, I think that's everything. You guys want to plug your socials in right now?
Yeah. So Sleepless Events is just sleepless_events. Deimos and Phobos _OFC. I'm just Christos_OFC.
I'm JMab Music.
We'll put that on the video
description.
and in the description. I think that's about it for this episode. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you guys want to support the channel, we have a PayPal link in the description. We also have 10% off Zound, and we also have a affiliate with Hears. So if you want to take your pick on that, there's that.
It's a brand new brand that we're all going to try out too. Yeah. It's getting promising reviews, so definitely check it out.
I think that's everything. So
thanks for coming, Chris and John.
Yeah,
it was
Thanks
a pleasure.
for having us.
Thanks for
it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.